がここにいるうちの本物のスクールスポーツのために行こうぜベイビーバンこの国は気をつけて、現実になることがありますからね。
The untouchable True School Sports Empire, and y'all know the rest, man. Now listen, I'm running around doing some errands, enjoying my last couple of days here in Japan. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed all the content here in Japan. There's still one more boxing show to go to. I still got like 3 interviews I haven't dropped yet, so stay tuned for that. But wanted to, this is my latest video of Naoya Inoue, the fighting pride of Japan, one of the faces of boxing and one of the greatest fighters in the world. So following me going to the fight, I had a great time, by the way. It was good. It was good to be ringside and watch the monster fight, and shout out to everyone that helped me get ringside. And this person knows who he is if you watch this video. Thank you so much. But I wanted to speak about, because a lot of people have been asking, they want to know my thoughts on the news that Hideki Ohashi and Ohashi Promotions after the fight stated that the 3-fight plan, because Inoue, I give Inoue his due, he stays active. He wants to fight 3 more times this year. So we're talking about a guy who's one of the best fighters in the world, still in his prime. I mean, I don't think he's like in the middle of his prime. I think he's actually kind of on the tail end of his prime, but he's still in his prime nonetheless. Still, a great fighter, still very hard to beat, still one of the best fighters there is. And he's, they're saying now that we knew that Picasso is going to be his American debut, right? We know that merge on is mandatory, right? And that'll probably be in Saudi. So if he can handle business and get past that, Hideki Ohashi has stated that he wants his last fight of 2025 to be his featherweight debut, and he wants it to be against Nick Bakk, the WBA champion. Now, I love what that fight could do for Inoue in his historical sense, because I'm pretty good at my box history. I think I can learn more about box history, but I think I'm pretty good compared to a lot of boxing fans when it comes to box history. I know that in the history of boxing, there's only been maybe a handful of 5-division champions. And you're talking about boxing royalty. You're talking about Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, Floyd Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya, Manny Pacquiao, and I believe that's it. That's it. So he would have literally put himself in a conversation of not just being an all-time great, but I'm talking about boxing royalty. So he beats Nick Bakk. He's on that list. He's a 6th fighter in history to become a 5-division champion. So from a historical perspective, I love what the fight can do for him. From the political standpoint, this is my honest opinion on why this fight was chosen for Inoue towards the end of the year. So we'll start with the Nick Bakk side of things, right? Nick Bakk is a good fighter. I like Nick Bakk, so I'm not trying to make any disparaging remarks about him. I respect where he's come from. I've been following him since he beat up on Isaac Lowe back in the day, or a couple years ago. Not back in the day, but a couple years ago. And he's being good fighters. He beat Isaac Dogboe. He beat Raymond Ford. He's good. He's a good fighter. Like I can't really down Nick Bakk at all. But in my opinion, Nick Bakk is promoted by Frank Warren, right? And the goal of every promoter is to get the most money they can out of their fighter. This is a sport that we love, but it's also a business that really overshadows it and dictates the decision-making process of these promoters, right? And I understand the decision-making process of these promoters. So for those of you who know, for those of you who don't know, there's this featherweight from Argentina, and he's really, really good. Like, he's really, really good. And when I've been talking about him in my videos recently, I made it a point to tell you guys that this guy is a threat to everyone. Everyone, including Angelo. Everyone always asks me who I think could beat Angelo, because people know how highly I rate Angelo Leo as a fighter. And they get mad when I say, like, Espinosa's not going to beat him and the champions can't beat him. But this Mirko Cuello, I think, could beat anybody at featherweight. He's that good. Good blend of size, punch selection, power, speed. And, he's getting better fight by fight. He's a problem for anybody in the division. So he's fighting on the Benavidez Morel undercard on the prelims against Christian Olivio, who's a tough fighter. And that's a WBA eliminator. If Mirko Cuello does what's expected and he wins that fight, he now becomes Nick Bakk's mandatory, and Nick Bakk has roughly, about a year to fight him, right? So I think that if Cuello becomes mandatory, and believe you me, Frank Warren, these promotional companies, they think a lot like me. They're thinking in advance. They're thinking 3, 4, 5 steps ahead. So they know that this mandatory is going to get called if this guy wins. And they know that that fight's not worth a lot of money because Quayle is not a big name. In fact, I guarantee you, a lot of you guys have probably never even heard of Mirko Quayle. And if you have, you know, it's probably fairly recently, as it was for me, right? So that being said, I think if Quayle fought Nick Ball, he would beat the brakes off of him, and the money wouldn't be great. So why would Frank Warren want Nick Ball to lose his title to Nick Ball or to Mirko Quayle for no money when he can, you know, cash him out in an Inoue fight? And who knows, you know? I mean, I don't think Ball is going to beat Inoue, but if Nick Ball does the unthinkable and then somehow upsets the monster and beats him, then all of a sudden now you got the biggest star in British boxing on your hands. So it's really a no-lose scenario. And, you know, Nick Ball is a featherweight, and he's a strong featherweight, but he's not the big, like he's wide, but he's not big. So it'll give Inoue a chance to dip his toe in the water, fight for a title, and probably get accustomed to the weight. So that's why I think it's happening from the Frank Warren side. And, you know, the Inoue side, it's a chance to become a fighter as a champion and become part of that really short list of boxing royalty who have been fighter division champions. So there's that. People ask you what I think about the fight stylistically. I mean, look, Nick Ball is very, very short, and a lot of people see that as a disadvantage. I don't see that as a disadvantage. I think Nick Ball takes what people feel is a disadvantage, and he makes it an advantage for him. Very good. He has very tight high guard defense, good work rate. But the thing about Nick Ball is that he's not very adaptable. He has his one style. He fights it very well, but he's not, you know, he's not very adaptable. So I feel like Inoue is going to have a guy that comes right to him with a high guard, and he's going to be able to just punch to the target and load up on power shots. Inoue himself won't have to make any adjustments. And that's what I'm saying. Like Inoue is a great fighter, but I think a lot of the guys he's fought don't really have a lot of versatility to them. Like, they have their style, they fight that style, and that's it. I want to see Inoue in there eventually with some point that I think will force him to make some adjustments, and you guys know who I think that is. I won't say it because you guys don't like when I mention his name sometimes, and you say, oh, you're just being biased. But, you know, the person I'm talking about who holds the IBF featherweight title, he has a lot of styles, and he can make a lot of fighters make adjustments. So, you know, and he's changed, and that fighter, which is Angelo Leo, he's gotten better since the Stephen Fulton fight. If you bring up that fight, then that tells me you don't really watch boxing or study how the fighters progress and regress. You don't understand fighter progression or regression, and you know, I won't even take you serious. And you know what? I'm not going back and forth with nobody no more, because I just wasted a bunch of time when I was on the train, when I should have been enjoying this beautiful scenery here in Japan on the bullet train. I should have been enjoying the scenery looking out the window, but I was on Twitter arguing with some Inoue fanboys that don't know anything about boxing. So I'm not doing that no more. If you have any negativity, if you say anything negative to me that makes me get even mildly pissed off, I'm probably gonna mute you, block you, or ignore you. So just giving you guys fair warning. I'm gonna practice the art of ignoring things. But nonetheless, Nick Ball versus Inoue, I think, is actually probably the perfect debut fight for Inoue at featherweight. But things can change, guys. Like, boxing's always ever changing. Nick Ball still has to get through. He has to get through T.J. Doheny, and that's not a foregone conclusion that he will. You know, Doheny is very crafty. He's been champion before. He's very experienced. This is a guy that has been brought in to lose a couple of times as of late against, like, Kazuki Nakajima and Jafet Lamido, who was one of Inoue's sparring partners, and that didn't work out. So, you know, I think him going to featherweight might actually benefit him. So Nick Ball has to handle his business before we even talk about that. But as far as Inoue versus Ball, it's a good fight. It's a good payday for Ball. It's the perfect way for Inoue to dip his toe in the water before he has to fight, you know, the fighters that I believe to be the best fighters in the division, like Angelo Leo, like Rafael Espinoza, like Brandon Figueroa, like those guys. And yeah, so let me know what you guys think. What do you guys make of Inoue and Nick Ball? Are you excited about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Definitely take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dania. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. For more great boxing content just like this, make sure you click right over here.